Are you listening?
Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Report. My name is Bryant Chappelle, and on this week's episode, PlayStation delays Last of Us 2, Phil Spencer gives another update on the Xbox Series X, Hideo Kojima wants to make you crap your pants with another horror game, and has Nintendo ran out of new ideas? Because their 2020 plans sure make it seem that way. But before we jump into any of that, your top headlines. First up this week, The Last of Us 2, a game about a microbial bacteria that destroys the world's population, also known as 2020. Well, this week, PlayStation gave gamers an update on Last of Us Part 2. But before we talk about any of it, please make sure that you're sitting down. Because The Last of Us Part 2 has officially been delayed indefinitely. Naughty Dog announced this week, as you've likely seen, the release of Last of Us Part 2 has been delayed. We are sure this news is just as disappointing to you as it is to us. We wanted to reach out to all of you in our community to give you a little more information. The good news is we're nearly done with development of Last of Us Part 2. We are in the midst of fixing our final bugs. However, even with us finishing the game, we were faced with the reality that due to logistics beyond our control, we couldn't launch Last of Us Part 2 to our satisfaction. We want to make sure everyone gets to play Last of Us Part 2 around the same time, ensuring that we're doing everything possible to preserve the best experience for everyone. This meant delaying a game until such a time where we can solve these logistic issues. Xbox! Microsoft's upcoming next-gen console, the
Xbox Series X,
has almost been fully revealed. I mean, at this point, we know the launch window, specifications, and that we will have more teraflops than we've ever knew we wanted. But this week, the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, joined IGN's podcast Unlocked to discuss updates and challenges that Microsoft is facing surrounding the launch of the Xbox Series X. Phil Spencer shared with IGN that despite everything going on with COVID-19 right now, he does not see any potential delays for the console. In fact, Spencer explained that many of the hardware issues have been addressed, and right now they're trying to iron out a few software issues. Spencer also noted that Xbox has learned a lot from the mistakes of the previous generation of Xbox. When it comes to the Series X, Xbox hopes to launch globally on the same date, as opposed to the staggered launch that the Xbox One saw. And when it comes to pricing, Phil Spencer feels good about the price we will be able to get to, and they plan on staying agile with their pricing. Quick question, what is your favorite horror game? You know, they say that your favorite horror video game says a lot about you. Five Nights at Freddy's, you're a hard-working person that has yet to learn that you never answer Craigslist ads. Silent Hill, well, you're a brooding, mysterious individual who's constantly wanting to know what's behind the next corner. And Outlast, well, if you like Outlast, you're a sick and very deranged individual. In fact, if you're dating someone that likes Outlast, you should probably break up with them immediately. But if you don't have a favorite video game yet, the famed developer Hideo Kojima hopes that his next game might be your favorite. While doing interviews with BAFTA, Kojima said, PT ended as just an experiment, but I would like to make another horror game someday. Something that uses a revolutionary method to create terror that doesn't just make you pee your pants, but crap them. I already have ideas in mind. Now, Hideo was obviously responsible for one of the greatest horror games that never happened, PT. And following its demo, Hideo and Konami fell apart, leading Kojima to make Death Stranding. So many gamers, like me, are chomping at the bits to see Kojima dip his toes back into the world of horror. And finally, Google Stadia. This week, Stadia announced a new program in hopes of attracting brand new gamers to the platform. Google announced this week that it would be giving away 3 months of Stadia Pro to YouTube Premium members as a gift, which, honestly, it's been really interesting to see how this has been playing out. Because right now, there are two camps. The Stadia is pretty cool camp, and the
Stadia is so stupid. I don't understand how anyone can play it. There are like 0 games and it totally sucks.
And when you have a story like this, both camps are obviously going to spin it in different ways. Stadia is giving away free memberships. Or
Stadia doesn't have enough players, so they're literally giving away memberships.
Well, that's going to wrap up this week's top headlines. So, without further ado, let's jump into this week's top story with the rundown.
Now for something completely different. Yeah.
And for this week's top story, Nintendo. 35 years ago, Nintendo changed the gaming industry forever by introducing Super Mario Bros. And since then, Nintendo released Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Land, Super Mario World, Super Mario Land 2, Super Mario All-Stars, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, Super Mario Advance, Super Mario Advance 2, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Advance 3, Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario 64 DS, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Super Mario 3D Land, New Super Mario Bros. 2, New Super Mario Bros. U, New Super Luigi U, Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Maker, Super Mario Run, Super Mario Odyssey, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and Super Mario Maker 2. 31 games over 35 years. Seriously, following the success of the original Super Mario Bros., they did what any overnight celebrity does. They oversaturated the market by putting their name on everything. Speaking of which, are you tired of your blending taking too long? Well, nerf it down with the brand new Nerf Report blender. Do you like protein shakes but tired of how long it takes to make them? Nerf it down with the brand new Nerf Report protein powder. You got a big date coming up and you smell bad? Nerf that BO with our brand new Nerf Report cologne. Smells so good. Hey, don't judge. We have to pay the bills somehow. It's either this or an OnlyFans. And let's be real, no one wants to see that. And despite there already being 31 games, Nintendo doesn't believe you've had enough Mario yet. In fact, according to the Video Game Chronicle, Nintendo is planning on celebrating Super Mario's 35th year anniversary with re-releases of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. Nintendo also has plans to release a brand new Paper Mario game and a remake of the 2013 Super Mario 3D World. Now, these announcements are supposed to coincide with the announcement of the new Super Nintendo World theme park and the upcoming animated Mario movie. And those titles will bring the Super Mario total to 36 games. However, Mario has appeared in over 200 Nintendo titles. I mean, Mario has been a kart racer, a tennis pro, a soccer player, a golfer, and a world-class partier. But it does raise the question, has Nintendo run out of inspiration? Where is the next Mario? Now, I don't mean the next Mario game, because obviously we have plenty of those. But what is Nintendo's next IP that they will treat the same as Mario? Why has Nintendo banked so much on an Italian plumber whose girlfriend is constantly getting kidnapped? Now, the obvious answer is that Mario sells. In fact, Mario titles make up for 2 of the top 5 best-selling Switch titles, with Mario Kart 8 being the #1 selling Switch game of all time. But that still doesn't answer the question of why hasn't Nintendo invested in secondary IP? For example, when you think of PlayStation, you might think of Kratos, Nathan Drake, Aloy, or Crash Bandicoot. And while Nintendo does have other IP, they have failed to release anywhere near the same amount of games. Remember, with Mario we had over 200 games, whereas with Donkey Kong we have had 32. With The Legend of Zelda, we've had 22 games. And with Metroid, we've only had 14. And in Nintendo's defense, they have introduced new IP, like ARMS and Splatoon. But neither of those really seem like they have the longevity of Mario. So the question, again, has to be asked. Has Nintendo run out of ideas? Is this what the next 30 years of Nintendo is going to look like? In 30 years, will we be playing Mario Party 27 along with a remastered version of Super Mario Odyssey? Nintendo has to understand that eventually products become stale, and consumers will eventually want new things. And sure, while Mario as a genre has definitely evolved in 35 years, the character remains the same. The question is, will Nintendo ever send Mario off to his well-deserved retirement? And who could Nintendo possibly ever choose to replace him? And finally for this week, we come to... That noise, of course, signifies that we are running out of time and coming close to the end of the show. So, in order to cover all the week's remaining news, we must initiate a segment that I like to call... Every single week, we have so much news to talk about and so little time to do it. So we take all the week's remaining news, put 60 seconds on the clock, and try to cover it as fast as humanly possible without running out of breath, passing out, or dying! So with that in mind, let's put 60 seconds on the clock. Thunder noise! And go! A remastered version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 The Campaign has released for the PlayStation 4. Two things. It's our game of the week. Super awesome, so check it out. The official Xbox magazine has announced that it is closing its doors and ceasing production immediately. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds announced a brand new April Fool's mode called Fantasy Battle Royale. However, unlike other April Fool's events, this one is real and awesome. Wasteland 3 has been delayed until August 28th. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint now has friend passes, which allow you to invite up to 3 of your friends into the game without them owning copies. QuakeCon 2020 has been officially canceled. WWE will be using WWE 2K20 to simulate matches, and current rostered superstars will be commentating. Sea of Thieves is coming to Steam's. Apex Legends now has a duo modes and map rotation. And finally, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Season 3 will start on April 8th. That is it for Nerfed in 60 Seconds, and that is it for this week's episode of the show. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like it, hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel. And as always, my name is Brian Chappelle, you are you, and this has been the Nerf Report. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to support the channel by buying Nerf Report cologne or Nerf Report protein powder. Sure, it smells like gasoline and tastes like piss, but we appreciate your support. So make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and please subscribe to the channel. Support the Nerf Report however you can. Good night. Can I stop smiling now?